What's up guys, GenesisNexus here. Welcome back to another Arknights Endfield video. And in today's video, I will be discussing my thoughts on the current endgame Umbral Monument, as well as future content. I also want to talk about a couple of ideas I had to spice up / diversify content in the game. I hope you guys are enjoying the game so far, and if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. And let's get into the video. The first thing I want to say is that this video will be different from my others. I will have gameplay running in the background, as you can see, showing my completion of the endgame mode Umbral Monument. You'll be able to see my team before I enter each one, and my gear will be shown later, and I will provide a timestamp for that in the description box down below. I'm going to start with the inorganic construct side of UM, so UM being Umbral Monument. As you can see, I've cleared all of them. I've collected the rewards, which are just okay in my opinion. I do think the rewards here and elsewhere need to be increased. I also tried swapping to the physical team, but leveling and gearing characters is just too expensive, even just to level 80. And I've included this information in my survey from the development team, so if you haven't done it, it should still be in your in-game mailbox. So feel free to check that out. So hopefully some of the stuff that I talk about here and also in my previous video, they'll be addressed in the broadcast that they have coming up on March 1st, 2026. They posted about that on their Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. But for this endgame, some of the enemies are pretty simple for most people to deal with, so I won't go too into detail for some of these fights. As you can see on the screen, like I currently am fighting the first boss, which is pretty simple, just following and make sure you watch yourself. And as you can also see from the video, I'm not at all a perfect player. Even my timing and management of like SP / resources still needs some work, but I did enjoy some of these fights more than others. And once again, I thank the devs for making the changes that they did for the dodging mechanic, because I can't even imagine how bad this would feel if we had the previous dodge from the previous beta test or alpha test, whatever you want to call it. I will mention here that I dislike the agony mode that takes away your tactical items, since there's already a limited amount of healing capability in the game, at least at this point in time. If I remember correctly, Ardelia, who I believe is on my team right now, as well as the previous on-banner character of Gilberto, are the only ones who can use heal right now, if I'm correct. But even if you pull for a character like Gilberto, who was previously on banner, well, technically they're still on banner, but they were the raid up character at the time. Even if you pull for this character, you still run into the issue I mentioned earlier, being that getting just one character prepared takes a lot of materials and time and sanity or stamina. So you would have to stop progressing other characters just for the sake of one. So hopefully in the future, the agony modes they'll have maybe a different modifier instead of no tactical items. So hopefully we can see that in the future. And one idea I kind of had for not only just endgame, but for all future content, was from the initial tutorial level of when we started playing Arknights Endfield, they showed the administrator being able to summon like 2 cannon turrets from whatever they had in their backpack. So I should be able to show that on screen right now. So if you guys can see it, it was a pretty interesting thing that they did, and I was thinking that those 2 big cannons should be kept for like big co-op raid events or game modes in the future, so that'll be interesting for those. But I also think of the possibility of having like a second tactical item and or a gear item similar to like the kits and stuff, being like a flamethrower tower or a surge tower, so you can use it in combat on the fly, which would be pretty cool. Maybe give those tacticals or wherever slot you want to put them a cooldown, so people can weave them in and out of their rotations. And the reason why I mentioned flamethrower first is, for example, my current team is a Laevatain team, and she needs heat infliction to do her thing, and I think it would be cool if I could like spawn a flame turret to help her out and make her rotation smoother, and then I could watch out better with SP and managing my resources like that. And it would be a great thing to diversify how people play, and you could do the same with the other elements as well. But yeah, that's just an idea that I had. And as you can see, the current first fight is over. Took some time, but I was able to get it done. Now for the second one. Rampaging shields is probably one of the more annoying ones that I think a lot of people had an issue with. I know some people found a way around this by doing using Snowshine or Catcher, but then that would once again require leveling up another character that's not a part of your main team. But one of the issues that I had for this fight in particular, not only including having a shielding character or a defender character who could parry, was the fact that especially in endgame, the team character's AI is just, I have to say, out of all the games I've played in my life, these team characters have to be some of the dumbest in my opinion. And I'm sorry to the dev team that I'm even saying that, but you'll see it a lot through this fight and some of the other fights, is that, for example, in this Raging Shields fight, the enemies will show a giant line path for when they're charging, and the team doesn't even bother to move out of the way. So unless you're willing to jump to each character and move them, or move your main controlled character so far away from the fight that the team has to follow, the team ends up taking unnecessary damage in a game mode where healing is restricted even further than normal. Because normally we have the tacticals, which have like a 3 charge thing, and enemies don't hit as hard as they normally do, or as hard as they hit in this game mode. So as you can see, I'm trying multiple things, trying to keep myself afoot while watching out where the enemies are. And I even swapped in Gilberta for this because I saw some people mentioning that she can do the lift mechanic, which did help me in this fight because some of the as you saw earlier, I was able to pick up some of the enemies. This way I could wail into them before and get them as low as possible. And I even used her ultimate sometimes to just deal damage mainly, because at a certain point the enemies kind of became immune to that. But I did want to just mention that issue from before, because I had to change up how I played due to this, and for some people it may be an easy change, but for others it's not. Hopefully they will make our teammates smarter in future updates so they just don't needlessly get hit. Because if you can see it on screen right now, I don't even remember how to say her name, but the redheaded girl who's not Laevatain, she got hit multiple times and I'm not controlling her. She just kind of like gets in the way, and there's nothing I can really do about that. And if you guys watched my previous video on Arknights Endfield, you know I mentioned that the game is similar to Xenoblade Chronicles X, or practically any Xenoblade Chronicles, because all your team is on the field at the time. And my main thing with this is just that even in those games, if I remember correctly, the team was a lot smarter, or the team AI was a lot smarter about moving, and especially because you'll see it on the ground sometimes where the enemy is standing still and the AoE is like glowing outwards, but the team will stand in that circle, and it's just like, but if it was Xenoblade, they would have moved out of that. So I think it's gonna be a real pain point well into the future, because if future endgame modes end up being like this, where enemies will do charging paths or be super aggressive, or for example, if we were fighting the boss, to mention even the first boss that we fought, what is it, Rodigan in Valley 4, when he goes into his second phase, the team is smart enough to get behind the barricades so that they don't get hit. But for example, in this endgame mode, it's almost as if they're scripted just in boss fights, the normal boss fights, to be smart, and everywhere else they don't have any intelligence. But it will affect how people play and perceive endgame, is if, hey, yeah, your allies are taking unnecessary damage and you have to heal them or swap to them to deal with it. And like I mentioned earlier, there's already a limited capability of healing in the game. Like, for example, I have Gilberto on my team, and if I remember correctly, Gilberta only heals when her battle skill does its final attack, because it's like a small charge up before it does its final attack, and then she heals. So she's different from Ardelia, who can heal with a lot of her stuff. So hopefully, even seeing my bad gameplay, maybe it can inspire people to try something differently, because I tried to do this with the Laevatain team before swapping to a physical team, because the physical team apparently had a way easier time because they could like do lift and stuff and breach. All right, let's get it on with the gear explanation portion of the video. And sorry that there was that extended like kind of pause on the video side. I just wanted to finish my thoughts. But yeah, as you can see on the screen, my Laevatain is level 90. She's the only level 90 character in the game. I haven't even gotten her trust stuff up, but I only focused on her battle skill and her ultimate to get them to at least mastery level 1, just because I wanted to see what that would do for me and my team. And as you can see, I have some of the materials I could easily farm for the last remaining one, but didn't really need it. And I'm gonna go through my armor just to show you guys Tidefall and the hot work. The hot work gauntlets are probably the only piece of gear, if I remember correctly, that I've actually artificed, just because I wanted to, and they were the easiest to manufacture. And as you can see, also I do have a duplicate of Laevatain. If you watched my previous video, which I'll link in the description box below, while I was pulling for Gilberta, I ended up getting a Laevatain dupe, but I wanted to beat this without the dupe, and I got lucky enough to get the essence for Laevatain. I've been farming for that since my first video, and I've worked on it a little bit, and it's kind of funny that it's 5 + 5 + 4 + 3, but these essences are very much useful. So my tip to anyone is work on those essences. And yeah, and then let's go on to Akakuri. As you can see, she's level 80, and she's probably one of my least worked on characters. She's level 80, got a level 80 weapon that luckily I think I got grabbed from a box. I don't even have a good essence on her. I just threw on one purple one that could fit. Will doesn't work for her, so I just picked one that had attack and the other her substat. And as you can also see, I only really cared for her ultimate, which recovers SP, as well as her battle skill, which I needed that for heat infliction, because Laevatain needs that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for her. There's not too much to show, and then I'll show off the gear. Just I'm gonna do this for every character, but she's a T3 Frontiers, got the Blight Resist and the O2 Cube, and then the Zeronite Power Core for the ultimate gain efficiency, because like I said, I need her to be using her ultimate for the SP, because I still need to manage my ultimate better, my SP better. And then here's my Wolfguard, who I was lucky enough to get his signature weapon from the weekly shop. But as you can see, he's also level 80, and I made all of his skills maxed out, or to the max, because sometimes when my Laevatain dies, I need someone else to pick up the duty of main DPS, and that's where he kind of comes into place. And even he doesn't have a perfect essence. As you can see here, he has one that has heat damage, but he needs art boost, so I'll be working on that afterwards. But even at level 80, he's still pretty decent. And just to show off his gear, he's mainly rocking the hot work set, other than like the sword Mancer attack. And yeah, then last but not least, Gilberta, the newest addition to my team, because I had Ardelia here initially. As you can see, she has a level 60 signature weapon that I got lucky on getting, and I didn't even care for her basic attack. I just mainly got her other 3, mainly for like the lift and also her ultimate attack. But I also didn't have enough resources to go past that, so that's why I didn't. But yeah, as I can show you here, combo on the lift, so that's what I was using for the, I think it was rampaging shields. And it's basically the Tidefall set for her, other than the Zero Night gloves that give ultimate, or actually no, the Zero Night set was just the Tidefall armor. Sorry, my bad. And then Ardelia, who was given to us for free. So as you can see, she's level 80 with her signature weapon. And I do have her essence, I believe. Yes, I have her essence mainly because I wanted the treatment efficiency boost, just so she can heal more, because she heals more than Gilberta. And her skills should also be maxed out. And only reason why those are maxed out is because when we first started and they gave her to us, I was just like, oh, I don't really need to pull for another healer. So I kind of just full sended without realizing that building characters is super expensive. But yeah, as you can see, Zero Night gear for the ultimate efficiency, so I can spam that whenever I need to. And that is the gear for all these characters. All right, now that we're done with showing off the gear, this should be the final part of the first part of which is the inorganic construct. It's just the final fight. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, some fights are relatively simple, so it's not much to explain. We fought a monster similar to this in the story, so it's mainly just getting behind them and attacking them while watching out for their kickback moves and their spears. So there isn't much per se that I have to add on to this fight. I think my thoughts will be better used on future parts of this video. So as of right now, it should be on screen right now. I'll show a timestamp for if you guys want to skip to the next part, as well as I'll put a timestamp for that in the description box below. Though I do hope you enjoy how I handle this. Like I said before, I'm not perfect, but I did want to show this off. I even tried to use Gilberta in this one because I didn't feel like swapping before this fight started. But yeah, here's where I'm gonna stop talking and I'm just gonna let the game do its stuff. All right, now that we're done with that, we will now handle those forsaken by the land part of I will say that this part of Umbral Monument was actually easier since I was able to clear the second and third fights without much investment. So like before I had my essences and stuff. And it was actually this first fight on Agony that made it worse to deal with because I didn't like operating on low health, and because of the gas in this mode, it kind of annoyed me. And as you can notice, I swapped from Gilberta to Ardelia because Ardelia is healing, and because they gave us her for free. For these, specifically these fights make it so much easier because she's probably the sole reason or the single reason why I could complete the first fight with the gas, since I practically spammed her ultimate whenever I saw it in the corner of my eye. Now, even right now as I'm talking, I think the ultimate isn't being used because earlier on in the fight it's fine to not use it, but once those enemies that the ones with the Sisters of the Swords, as you can see on screen or the big boss, that's when you kind of had to start. I had to start spamming, and even sometimes I forget to spam. As you could see, like there's sometimes I forget to even use my skills. Once again, showing that I'm not like some perfect Giga Sweat. I'm just like, I'm trying. And some people are probably even would handle this better than I would, but just wanted to mention that right now. But you will see in this fight the same issue that I mentioned before with the rampaging shields part of Umbral Monument will happen, where the enemy where teammates will stand in the path of enemy attacks, and especially for this boss. As you can see, the little grenades he throws on the floor, sometimes they move out the way, sometimes they don't. And as you can see, starting to use her ultimate here. This fight is probably the most annoying because having to deal with the gas, that's why I keep spamming her ultimate, and I will leave and I will ignore my I will ignore my combo or rotation just so I can pick up the healing sheep that Ardelia puts on the floor, because I feel like that's infinitely more important is staying alive, but also having to deal with the smaller enemies that the boss summons every now and then kind of has me on the back foot. I mentioned earlier having to switch my playstyle to deal with some of these bosses, and as you can see, even my SP management. But even then, as you can notice, I pick up some of the healing sheep, but my teammates won't. And as you can see their HPs keep going down and down, and I can only try so much because I think it only heals them for a little bit each one that I pick up. So I'm kind of just spamming, and I got lucky there. I got like a 63k crit on that boss, so that's why this one was able to get done. But it's time to move on to the next one, and I do skip the second fight here because of the enemies being like their HP keeps ramping up, so I moved over to the third one because it's just those two duo bosses, which I think this fight is actually one of the more interesting ones here in all of Umbral Monument, is because they, even as one of them comes out to fight you, the other one will still do things. And as you could saw, the one on the platform in the back, he had the circle glow, which you can parry to or do a skill to interrupt, but you can't really do that because he's blocked by the smoke. But it was an interesting thing to have implemented here, because I do like this, and I do hope that in the future they do more fights like this where the bosses team up or the enemies team up to go against us, because it's definitely a interesting way they can handle it, duo bosses. And funny enough, it would be cool if another idea I literally had as I was writing this or making this video is, I mentioned earlier some stuff for possible co-op content so players can play together. And how cool would it be if while you're fighting one boss on this side, your friend can be fighting the other boss on the other side with their team, and maybe the bosses even join together or merge together if you don't do a mechanic right or something like that. So that's just something that I thought was interesting and a good possibility. But yeah, as you can see, I'm trying my best to just parry them or stop them from using their skills when possible. I'm even messing up on some of the stuff. And the axe guy gave me less to worry about, but other than the other guy with the arrows, because I kind of hate that guy. And now we have arrow guy, who, even though he's annoying with because I have to watch, because I don't think there was an opacity meter in the settings, so I have to like watch when I see the red light glow up on him like that, so I can dodge. Because when I'm doing the middle of Laevatain's attacks, which are also red, it's kind of hard to notice that. But yeah, and this seems just kind of pretty simple, works all together. And luckily, because we don't have any like mechanic like, oh, losing health field, like notice I mentioned it earlier, the bosses are helping each other, the enemies are helping each other. So I just got hit, and it took, I think, at least like 2 to 3k off my HP bar. I by accident did fat finger something because I was meaning to use Wolfguard's skill because his is the fastest when countering enemies. Sorry, I kind of paused here because I even wrote it in my notes. I paused here because I had to scratch my face because it was super itchy, so I had to pause. But yeah, Wolfguard being another thing you also have to worry about is teammates who are faster at responding to enemy skills. Because as you notice, I used Ardelia's skill earlier because I fat fingered, and she's a lot slower when it comes to responding in comparison to a Wolfguard who just immediately attacks. Because he kind of like teleports in front of you and then attacks. And here I'm trying to like pop everything because I want to get rid of them as fast as possible. I think I use, yeah, because I think if anything, I try to get rid of one of them in this field, especially the axe guy, because sometimes he'll do an attack and I won't recognize it. So you want to get rid of him so then I could focus down the other one. And that's that. This fight is over, and I don't think anyone should have too much issues with that, but I do hope that they do something similar in the future. But now we're moving on to the final fight of Umbral Monument, and as you can see, the things they mentioned there, the enemies are harder to interrupt and they constantly constantly get more attack. And here I'm going to swap to Gilberta mainly because I want to use her ultimate. Because the enemies are in a close quarters with each other, I want to use her ultimate to just kind of add on to extra tick damage as much as possible. And if I can get a lift off here and there, it would work, but I forget these enemies. I forgot that beforehand, and these enemies don't get lifted. They technically get the status afflicted upon them, but it doesn't really move them up into the air. And you'll see that during this fight. And as you can see, I'm just really trying to get as many stacks of... I forget the name of Laevatain's thing, but I try to get as many stacks as possible, and I try to just get it as fast as possible. As you can see, they got hit with lifted, but they did not physically move up into the air. And I'm also trying to like do mini dodges in between, because as you can see, these enemies are the ranged ones, and as they continuously get attack, they can hurt, so I have to dodge every now and then. And you see I missed a dodge, so then I end up taking more damage. And now you see I'm putting more dot damage. And I think I'm gonna use my ultimate here soon because I wanted to speed up. Yep, I wanted to speed up dealing with enemies because they're so close, and if I can get my one to go off, it ends up doing massive amounts of damage. I didn't write it here in my notes, but I do remember, and I think I actually, at least my Laevatain actually fell here, and I had to end up using someone else, but I could be wrong. This may not be that run, because I did do multiple runs just to make sure it wasn't like a fluke. Now, here's the more annoying part about this. Dealing with these guys who are ranged, luckily their poison puddles don't stay on the floor like they do when you're normally fighting them, but I'm extra careful with dealing with them because one wrong move and you can end up getting just like mollywopped and basically being destroyed. And once again, I have Gilberta's thing popping off so I can try to get more and more damage here because I don't want to leave any one of them. And as you can see, I'm focusing down one of the enemies because I don't want them to get a chance. Get one of them. Luckily I got to interrupt, and then I move around so I can then use the main brunt of the force of Laevatain's skill to try to deal with the other one. And luckily enough, I had enough, so I was able to get my ultimate back, and now I'm just gonna pretty much finish the fight. Nothing much more I can say about this, but yes, I was right. This was the battle where I did lose Laevatain like exactly at the end, but it didn't really matter at that point. I was able to take out the mobs. As you can see, entirely done. I got both the, I guess you could call the platinum medals, and I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna do on that third zone, as you can see on the right. So I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do there, if they're going to learn the lessons from these two and choose the best fights to put into that third fight. It's kind of like Tower TOA if anyone plays Withering Waves. Alright, just to end it off, I am enjoying my time with Arknights Endfield and these endgame modes. I think this endgame was a nice attempt at the beginning. Hopefully they'll learn from it in the future and both endgame modes will learn off each other. I'm definitely hoping they will address some of this for future iterations as well as the rewards, since those were lacking in my opinion. And after this video, I'll be continuing to edit my factories I have set up and future ones in Wuling, so this can help with future character building. And I'll also be building up my physical team, since I want to use Administrator and Pogrenichik, if I remember saying his name, if I'm saying his name correctly. If you guys have any suggestions on how to play my Laevatain team or the physical team better, or just want to share some general tips and tricks for rotations or stuff like that, please put those in the comment section down below, or feel free to tag me on Twitter/X at GenesisNexus. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please let me know what you think of the current endgame mode and how you guys are handling it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and good luck on your pulls for Yvonne if you are pulling. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It would be very, very much appreciated. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Later.